And ladies and gentlemen, we are off to the races here on Neo Planet S. It seems to be a common map that we're seeing quite a bit as of late. And Joj, would you be so kind as to introduce our players for us?
I would love to. This is going to be like the one time I get to do this. All right, so in the bottom left-hand side, it is SK Telecom's Sue as the red Zerg, playing against his opponent in the top right-hand side of Neo Planet S, the blue Zerg, Quantix Hyun. And I am so pumped to get to cast these guys. These are the kinds of replays that I study as a player to try and get better with, and this is going to be great. The first game actually had a very interesting build from Hyun, where Hyun took a very, very early third and leveraged that extra production and part of an all-in. But Sue was able, with better decision making and better engagements, to actually come out on top. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen in this game. If we're going to see more odd, diverse, non-standard play from either side, or if we're going to see just a standard, maybe a Roach versus Roach mid game.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see the overlads are going to do the flyby in the center of the map. They won't actually see each other, but they know they're there. And I'm kind of curious about if they're going to do the same thing. Is this going to be a similar matchup where we're going to see a lot of Lings and Banelings? Is one of these players going to transition to something different, going with Roaches? We do see Sue grabbing the pool first, and just like he did last game. However, that being said, Hyun, instead of expanding first, has grabbed a pool as well. Like you mentioned, it's not going to impact their economy any different, but it depends on whether or not they expand behind. As we see, they are starting to float a good number of minerals, so I think that's precisely what they're going to do. And indeed, there goes Hyun's drone heading on down, and we also have the same from his opponent. We'll see if the hatches go down at the same time. About 2 seconds difference between the two players. They're basically mirroring each other at this particular point in time. Spawning pools going down within 4 seconds of each other. Looks like Sue's just slightly quicker with regards to his pool, as well as his hatch, and I'm talking literally by 1 or 2 seconds. Overlords as well also going out, so very much the same type of build right now between the two. That being said, Sue grabbing his gas, whereas Hyun has not done so just quite yet.
Yeah, this is, I mean, so at any point Hyun can grab his gas and totally prove me wrong. But if you don't grab your gas early, as Zerg, it's really standard and typical to go into something like a 4-queen build, like Sasquatch did on this map in the last series we casted. Actually, only Sasquatch got gas and then didn't ever get speed, which was weird. But Hyun actually is grabbing gas, just grabbing it a little bit later. This is a little bit weird. I feel like this opens him up for some timings that could hit him, but it will also help him pump out a lot of drones and a lot of queens earlier. He probably wants to add on at least one more queen. In order to cover those timings, he might go Baneling Nest before speed, but it remains to be seen what Hyun wants to do with this.
Yeah, it does remain to be seen. There's a couple of Zerglings that are going to poke on in here for Sue. Taking a quick peek. There's a queen on the ramp. Hyun is going to dissuade any further scouting from that. I think this is going to make Sue... He's taking a quick peek. He sees that the hatchery is done. He's feeling good about that. That's what these slowlings are for. And he has started speed, and whereas, as it sits right now, Hyun has chosen not to do that just quite yet. I think he's just waiting to get enough gas in order to be able to do that because his gas went down so late. This will affect his ability. If he does decide to grab some speed, there will be a slight upgrade advantage for Sue for a good period of time, about 40 seconds. That's depending if it goes down right now. He's not opting to go for that just quite yet. Looks like a queen taking a very long walk off the creep for some strange oddball reason. There is a couple of Zerglings though that are going to get some pot shots off, and it looks like an an evolution chamber is going to go down just outside the natural here, and it looks like Hyun's got a wall off, or at least get a partial wall off down here.
Well, Hyun has actually spent his first 100 gas on lair. This is super greedy, just incredibly greedy. This could be punished by almost anything, even just light pokes. So yeah, I would expect a wall because there's no Banes, there's nothing to stop any kind of attack. And Sue is making an attack. He's made a round of Lings. I mean, it's not like an all-in. He's got a lot of drones behind this, but he's got a round of units that are just there to poke and get some scouting information about what Hyun's doing. And Hyun is going for a Roach Warren. Yeah, okay, I see. So Hyun went for a super early lair, and he's going for a Roach Warren and Evolution Chamber. He wants to do a +1 with Speed Roach timing, is what this is looking like.
Yeah, and that would be very, very good at this particular point in time. But he's not going to be able to expand. It's going to have to be based off the 2 bases because of the fact that Lings are out here, and there's no units to really stop them from you know, to be able to go out and kill them. This is just a little bit of, like you say, it's a small amount of units. It's not enough to really destroy anybody, but it's enough to keep you in your base for at least a short period of time until you actually have forces that you can move on out. That being said, a Roach Warren has been taken of his own, and Sue's, let's just see if we can find that. It is right there up on the left-hand side of the natural. Also grabbing double Evo chambers. He is researching missile attacks as well as Carapace, and he's taking a third as well. So whereas Hyun, on the other hand, is just upgrading his glial reconstitution for speed. He is going for that missile attack speed timing that you were talking about, and he's producing nothing but roaches as it sits right just this moment. This hatchery may slow down things a little bit for Sue because of the fact that there's so much minerals invested in it. That may slow him down a bit from being able to produce enough roaches to be able to defend against this, depending on how hard it goes. But that being said, Lings are up and in the main, and now looks like Hyun's going to have to defend for a little while.
Yeah, Hyun is taking the time to clear out some overlords along his side of the map from Sue while he's defending, and now Darius mopped it up. He's going to put guys back on gas at his main. He's a little bit oversaturated, but so that just really enabled him to mine more efficiently, actually. And now he's rallying his roaches out. His +1 is going to finish before his opponent's +1. His opponent's +1/1 will finish in 60 seconds, 1 minute exactly. So with this glial reconstitution and +1, Hyun has a lead, but it's a tiny window that's going to rapidly close. It's less than a minute to hit the window, and then Sue will have a massive lead.
Absolutely. 1-1 roach is certainly a lot better than 1-0 roaches on or off the creep. Doesn't matter which. Glial reconstitution being researched by Sue, but it is a good ways out, at least a minute and a half or so. +1/1 rather, about to finish. We're talking 30 seconds or so. So it looks like Hyun knows his window. He's got to hit it now, so he's going to micro a little bit on these roaches. A good size force here. Certainly upgrade advantage in the favor of Hyun on the right in the blue. And on the left-hand side is the roaches, supported by some queens as well. And don't see exactly if this is going very well. No, it's actually less numbers. He's going to snipe the queens. That's always a good trade. Queens are the kind of the backbone of the hatchery system. You need them in order to inject the larvae. But he did not win that engagement, and that window has now closed, unfortunately, for Hyun. He needs to get on top of his upgrades, and you can see he's researching +2 right away. He's had that researching for a little bit of time. It is about a minute and a half out as well. But once that finishes up, it's going to kind of balance things a little bit. He needs to get a Carapace upgrade in order to supplement these so that he can affect more, I guess you could say, more balance and more aggressive posture with regards to those roaches.
Yeah, and not so much is happening on the map right now that I want to talk about, but I do want to talk about the base positioning of each player. The third base, Sue has expanded towards his opponent, and Hyun has expanded towards his opponent. There's a very small hallway in between the two thirds. That's going to become the major point of contention between these two players. And Hyun had some creep there that's going to be picked up by Sue. There looks to be a big engagement coming. Hyun has an upgrade disparity with Sue actually in the lead, so Hyun has to fight with that flamethrower. But Sue has so many roaches, it looks like he may overpower Hyun just flat out right now. +2 to finish for Hyun for another 30 seconds. This could be what Sue needs to close out the series very quickly. That's exactly what Sue wants. He wants to close this out. He doesn't want to go into a game 3 at all. He doesn't want to go face the loser's bracket. Sue is just powering through Hyun's roaches right now.
No, indeed, and he looks like he's going to start working and knocking away on the front door, but more roaches showing on up here, and Hyun being able to, he's just basically scurrying back and forth. Maybe he can take advantage of the choke here. Fast roaches with good upgrades, 1-1 upgrades versus 2-0 upgrades. It's basically balanced up as it sits right now, but Hyun actually taking it back a little bit here against Sue. And it looks fairly balanced. There's about 10 roaches versus 10 roaches, and another one coming up behind as well. And it's anybody's game at this point in time. It's really all about micro and engagement and being able to keep your units alive. But that being said, Sue has so many more roaches following this up. On the other side of the coin, Hyun is only got 9 more coming as well. So both players just waiting on reinforcements and such in order to be able to for the engage. Overlords are providing some vision over top of this hill. So looks like Sue's just really just trying to be very, very careful about this engagement and trying to get the best possible engagement possible. There is a fairly good concave, but both players have a bit of one, and it's a northern concave versus a southern one. But however, 4 or 5 roaches just finishing off on the queen, and it does look like it's about even as it sits just this moment. Both of them trying to get a win. Drones being pulled off to try and increase the numbers here. And again, it's anybody's game literally at this particular point in time, and it's just control at this point. There's no real upgrade advantage, like I said earlier, 2-0 versus 1-1. What are your thoughts? Where do you think this is going?
This is getting kind of weird. Hyun has a worker lead by about 7, but the army count favors Su. Su has more roaches and more roaches in production even. Hyun is in a little bit of trouble, and so pulling, while useful, also eliminates the lead that Hyun has. Hyun needs to find a way to deal with these roaches from Su in a way where he doesn't have to pull any drones. This could be a little bit bad though for Su. Hyun gets a little bit of a nice engagement, a nice concave, but Su is, yeah, this is actually looking really good for Hyun. Su is staying in that fight when he definitely should have left. And that was what Hyun needed to let off the pressure. Hyun can take the advantage from that, and yeah, he's starting to tech more. He's getting his +1 carapace, +1-1 is starting, or +2-2 is starting to pursue because he knows he can't win the game right here. And it wouldn't be surprised if I saw Hyun for that infestation pit or some sort of tech.
No, absolutely. That's just about the time where they should be expanding, they should be teching up and transitioning into something besides just roaches. As we do see, though, +2/+2, I think, is being researched here. It is +2 and +2 carapace being researched, so that's a little bit behind. I would like to see, yep, there it is, +1 carapace also being researched here. Once that finishes, the Hyun will definitely have that upgrade advantage, but not a very big one. He'll have about... judging by the looks of things, simple math, it's going to be about 40 or 50 second upgrade advantage between the two players. So as long as he's able to continue to macro, continue to produce units, he should be fine when he does ultimately engage. Once this +1 carapace finishes, and then he'll have 2-1 roaches versus 1-1 roaches, because that 2-2 upgrade timing is not going to finish. However, that being said, it does look like we do have a Hydralisk Den on the way, so it's going to be Roach Hydra. Now, roaches do obviously tank damage very, very well, and the Hydralisk are going to be able to push out the DPS really, really well. And so, Su, I think, transitioning into Roach Hydra, and it looks like we have 11 more roaches on the way. I think Hyun knows that where he's at with regards to his upgrade status. He needs to push now. His upgrade has finished. He's now 2-1 roaches, and he needs to push within the next 60 seconds. He has a 70-second window, and it is slowly, actually, I stand corrected, not even slowly, it is rapidly disappearing, and you can see he is moving on out right now. And as he progresses across the map, he is going to pick up vision off of these overlords. Su knows exactly what's going on. It looks like, let's just take a quick look at the units tab. 46 roaches versus 61 roaches in the favor of Hyun. He also has the upgrade advantage. Is he able to capitalize on it? Unbelievably good concave here for Su around the bulk of these roaches, and it is just it's just going to town. And actually, Su's numbers are actually dropping rapidly, 37 to 27. Hyun's numbers are dropping. Hyun is bringing in additional roaches to try and help out. There is a couple of roaches that did make their way back here to the natural, but they're not going to be able to do much about it. And Hyun is just going to withdraw very, very quickly here, as the bulk of the roaches do go on up. There's a small counterattack over here to try and distract up into the up in this third base location. But just looking at it, workers killed, not so much a difference. Supply is the big one. Let's just take a quick look. 82 to 84, 50 workers to 58. Quantic Hyun's still able to hold it together very well. Like you say, that a little bit of supply difference between the two is certainly paying off.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I'm worried for Hyun. Hyun is now behind by a full upgrade because 2-2 is done for his opponent, and 2 carapace is not done for Hyun. And man, this is really cool. Su has been really, really aggressive with his overseers, and he's been infesting. I forget the actual name of the spell. I'm so sorry. Contaminating. He's been contaminating the hatcheries to stop them from larva producing. That's a very important thing to know. He's done that at least 4 times in this game. And those are little things that Su is doing, but they're actually going to be helping him in engagements like that last, where it was kind of, what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, okay, yeah, my upgrades are going to work. And if Hyun had more units, that may not have been the case for that last engagement. But Hyun is doing what he's supposed to do, right? He's sending groups of 4 to 5 roaches to the natural of Su while pushing for big engagements on the other end, just to keep Su distracted, keep Su pinned back on his 3 bases. And now both players are mining out of their main. They're doing a lot of damage to those minerals in the natural, and they need to be looking to take another base. But Hyun is going to be behind in any fight because he's going for Roach Infestor or Roach Hydra versus Roach Hydra, and he's just behind in upgrades. I would much rather see Hyun go for something like Roach Infestor, where he can get stuff that surpasses upgrades. Like, oh man, but it doesn't even matter at this point. There's a big engagement here between Su and Hyun. There's 2 engagement points between the two, and there's less Hydralisks for Hyun. But Su may have overextended himself. He's lost. Su has beaten him in one fight. Yeah, there it goes. He grabs all the roaches from that one fight at the top and moves them to take care of the guys that were still at the bottom, at the top of that hill below him. And they are again tied in supply. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's just back and forth, back and forth. I mean, like you say, though, that upgrade advantage is going to add up. 2-1 versus 2-2. The 2-1, just simple math, is not going to work out. There's some drones pulled off in here. That's, I guess, to try and distract the automatic targeting of the roaches and so that they don't impact Hyun's roaches. But it looks like he's going to send back all of his forces to help take care of these roaches that have been working away over in front of the natural. They're able to get some additional scouting information. That's precisely what they're there for. Maybe kill off a couple of workers. Hey, that's not too bad. They do get a couple of shots off and do take care of a couple more workers, and that's always beneficial. He does lose the roaches in the process, but gets some scouting information, a couple of free drone kills, and that's actually going to work out pretty well for Hyun. He's now 56 to 46 supply with regards to his workers, and if we do take a look at the army supply tab, it is literally matched, 134 to 130 as it sits right now. I should point out one thing up at the top of the map. A base has been taken here. This is going to be somewhat important because he will have the continued economy to be able to perpetuate the production of his army. A big engagement here, though, at the same time. Roaches versus, well, Roach Hydra versus Roach Hydra. There's not a whole lot of Hydras in the army of Hyun. There is a good number of Roaches in this mix for Su, and it's just head-to-head, literally right on top of the hill, king of the hill, as these Roaches of Hyun are pushing forward here. And just take a look at the units counting tab so we can actually track them as they're going. It is pretty close, 20 roaches to 19 roaches. They are making more. Hyun is bringing more into this. However, I think with all these roaches and hydras are just basically, it's just a slugfest. Look at the blood on the ground. It's insane.
Yeah, but man, look at the supplies. Hyun is completely dominating him in supply because Hyun can reinforce because there's that fourth base. That fourth base is supplying Hyun with a ton of minerals. And yet Su says, GG, I can't do it anymore. And that's it. Hyun ties this series up. I'm so glad this has gone to a game 3.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. There's going to be a couple of commercials. We'll get it right into game number 3 in what seems to be pretty much an unrelenting amount of action here in these two games. Major League Gaming Spring Championship. My name is Nightshade.
And I'm Judge, and we'll see you back here in just a few seconds.